Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nilanda. I'm a 30-something currently living in Rhode Island, and here on my channel, I share lots of different little bits and pieces, different slices of my life, whether it is through vlogs, lifestyle content, as well as just, my travels and my BTS concerts. I'm here to share little parts of what I'm going through in my regular everyday life, no matter what that looks like, with you guys. My last two vlogs were definitely a little bit more exciting than this one will be. I did go on two back-to-back trips, one to Tampa to see BTS and the other to Cancun to celebrate one of my close friends' 40th birthdays. And I had an absolute blast on both of those trips, but they were definitely filled with a lot of energy and socialization and excitement. And I will be very honest, I'm happy to have a bit more of quiet time and some time to myself. So I've been journaling in some capacity, whether it's like me writing my thoughts in a journal, in a diary of some sort. I still write in a journal, but when I was younger, I had physical journals, I had different blogs. I was very active on what's it called? Live journal? I definitely had a live journal. I definitely had a Tumblr. I think I had one other thing too. And Xanga. That was like one of my first blogs I ever ran. I have had both digital and physical journals to write my thoughts in. Just to make any writings really. Sometimes I write my unfiltered thoughts. Sometimes I would write little poems of prose and poetry and stuff. And then I did get into bullet journaling. I'm a very big fan of a planner. I was always an academic, so I liked having lots of space to write things down. As I've gotten older into more of my adult life, I have not really stayed super consistent with anything. I have kind of phases where I'm in and out of one thing or another. I do have some type of digital planner on Notion that I use weekly to kind of map out my weeks and try to map out my content and stuff like that. But I have been sucked in again by the bug to journal, to scrapbook, to junk journal, whatever you want to call it. But I have a lot of these extra notebooks and stuff lying around, things that I haven't fully used, etc. And I kind of want to combine everything into one ecosystem and kind of carry everything around like a traveler's journal. I'm definitely being very influenced by the algorithm of all these people who journal and journal really beautifully. I will say I'm not one of those people. I'm definitely not as talented or as creative as I think some of the people who I see journaling seem to be, but I would like to get there one day or also, just try different things. I have a lot of material and supplies that I can already use. So instead of buying a whole bunch of new stuff, new journals, etc., I'm going to try to do a little DIY version and try to buy as little as possible. So for that traveler type of notebook, it's really like a leather bound case or carrier for multiple journals so you can switch in and out. I've seen some online, but they're a little expensive, as well as I've seen a lot of dupes for one that is called the Louise Carmen. I will be very honest, I have not seen any actual Louise Carmens in any of the TikToks and other short form content that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people dupe it though, so I think I'm gonna try that myself. I don't have any actual leather fabric to use, but I do have this, which is some upholstery fabric that I had bought probably 10 years ago at this point because I bought it with the intention of making a cosplay with it. I was planning to make a Attack on Titan Scouts uniform cosplay with this. Never happened, obviously, as it's still a huge piece here and has not been cut. I'll be honest, my plan is to kind of just go off the dome and get what I can done or in my brain the way I think it would work. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be neat. It just needs to be functional for what I want to use it for. And I don't want it to be too intimidating either. I feel like I run into that a lot. I'm trying to get over the sticker fear too of oh, I don't want to use the sticker because what if I need it next time? Or is this page worth it? The same thing with writing in new notebooks, right? You don't want to mess it up. I'm this is supposed to be a nice sketchbook. So I don't want to draw something ugly in it. And it's I need to get the F over that whatever fear apprehension is towards that. And also the pressure of filling in a big heavy notebook with tons of pages. So I'm trying to come up with a ecosystem that has all the things I would like to use, all the different types of journals I would like to use. I just need to be functional and inviting for me specifically. So I did buy this weekly planner that's undated from Muji. I did buy it online. There's not really a Muji that's super close to me, but I really like it. This is kind of a good dupe for the Hobonichi weeks, I believe, but I wanted mine in an A5 size. So the week is written here. Another thing I do like about this is that it starts on Monday, so my weekend can be blocked off together here. My plan is that I'll use this as my catch-all planner, and hopefully this place will be somewhere that I can, again, do some of that scrapbook journaling. Maybe it'll be a place where I can just use as scratch paper. I'm not really sure yet, but I think with the amount of pages in here for the many weeks there are in years to come, like I can hopefully figure out what works best for me. And this actually came with this little cover here. It originally came like this. I don't think I'll keep the planner in the plastic. I think I'll use the plastic just as like kind of a folder to put like different stickers or ephemera in. I've never really been like a junk journaler per se, but I know that I collect random stuff, and I think that when I go on different trips and places, I do hang on to tickets and just like, I don't know, napkins, receipts, whatever. So I think it might be a good way to utilize them, because I'll hang on to like clothing tags too every once in a while. I don't know what it is, but I think that might be something good for me to have as an option to use for journaling. It's weird. It's like, is it journaling? Is it scrapbooking? I don't know. I'm just going to say journaling as a catch-all. Then I actually made these journals, and this is where, again, I'm using stuff that I already have. So the covers here are made just from scrapbook paper that I already have from a like big notepad. You know, sun and moon, very, you know, me coded. I'm also using 3 different types of paper. So I have a blank like sketchbook paper here, and I figured with this stuff I can use it as kind of like a catch-all notebook where I can write different lists or just, you know, plan stuff if I need scrap paper, as well as, I don't know, maybe I'll have some of my own like main journal thoughts, and I can rip these out and put them in my real journal. When I say my real journal, I mean the one that I've been writing in for like multiple years now about my, you know, personal thoughts, etc. I don't want to carry that one around with me everywhere, but it also is too big to fit these, as well as, you know, I want to keep some of those thoughts in there. So even if I'm writing how I really feel about what's going on, blah, 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 if I write it in my blank notebook, I still want the option to potentially later like rip it out and just paste it into my real journal. But anyway, so I have these plain pages here, and then I have this one that I made, and this has thick dotted paper here. This actually came from a book that I used as a bullet journal for a while, but again, that intimidation of needing to finish it, etc. I didn't want to have that. I didn't want to put a full-size bullet journal into this traveler's notebook. So this is all in my brain. I'm not sure how it'll work, but my intention for this thicker paged bullet journal paper dotted grid notebook, I guess, is that it would be my main scrapbook journal type thing. But yeah, where I can have bigger spreads in it and stuff, and maybe just like kind of do more of that like junk journaling and whatnot, or kind of just put a bigger spread dedicated to maybe a specific event or the thing that I've done for the week, for a specific day. And then the last journal I have, I actually haven't finished yet, but it is this one, and this one has lined paper. But yeah, I figured this will actually probably be my work-related notebook. There's a lot of stuff happening with work where I need to kind of just organize my thoughts. I do have a dedicated notebook for work, but that one's almost gonna run out soon too. And I like just having that lined space for it, as well as just, you know, plenty of pages that I'm not thinking too deeply about it. I just need a notebook to write in. And so I just need to put a cover on here, and I'll use another piece of scrapbook paper to do so. So the way I made these 3 smaller notebooks is that I sacrificed these 3 bigger notebook journals that I have, and they so kindly offered me their pages. So this one is a sketchbook that I've been using for a while. I'm using a sketchbook very loosely here. I've just doodled around in it and kind of planned some different like cosplays and stuff in it, sometimes like meal prepping. I use it just as like a whatever notebook, but it had plenty of pages. I'm not even done with it yet. And then for my like bullet journal pages, I took them out of this beautiful, beautiful notebook. I think this is from, is it like Notebook Therapy? Yeah. And again, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous bullet journal. And I think that I almost got like intimidated by how beautiful it is. Like there were some really awesome like moon pages that I never filled out. Like what an idiot. And it came with some beautiful stickers too, which I'm going to put into this journal as well. But I've owned it for like 2 years and I've still never finished it. I feel like I just don't bullet journal as much anymore. You know, there were still plenty of pages in it. So I basically ripped the pages out of here to make myself a smaller version of it. And I did the same with this lined paper notebook that I've had for years. Like the first page in this journal is from 2017 and I'm still not done with it. So I've kind of used it in a lot of different ways, but lately it's been more of like a content creative journal or something. But again, I think that in theory it works for me to have multiple journals for different things, but it doesn't actually work when they're all in different places and I want them, you know, at the same time or whatever. And also, again, I think there's a lot of pressure to like fill it up when there's this many pages in it. I thank these 3 journals for sacrificing some of their pages for me to make little smaller journals out of. Basically, I pulled out a couple of signatures from the books, but doing so, I did kind of mess up the sides a little bit because that's where the string was that like sewed them all together. So instead, I used a different type of bookbinding method, and I just glued them all together so they are stuck with Elmer's glue. And then I'm just going to put a little cover on it and call it a day. So this is the scrapbook paper pad that I used for the covers of the first 2 journals. So I think I'm just going to use another page as well. I'm not sure which one though. I kind of like this one, you know, very celestial. Oh, but this one might be better. I know it's tough. There's a lot of good pages in here. Like, this is so pretty. But, so again, these are the 2 that I already have. But like, which ones go nice with it? Granted, obviously all of them. Obviously the answer is all of them. But I'm trying to think of like which ones have I not, or which ones do I not really see myself using maybe? I'm leaning towards doing either this one, this like just galaxy-esque one, or maybe the one with the stars on it. Maybe not this one. Oh, but this is nice because it has gold in it. You know, I love gold. I did not see another one. I'm like, have I used this before? And then I'm like, it's just for my work journal, my work notebook. Like, does my work notebook deserve that beautiful piece of paper? No. I think I'm gonna go with this one. So let me pull that out. I'm gonna do this in the most simple way possible. I'm just gonna trace how much I think I need, and then I'll trim as I go. And then I will bring it all the way up and then all the way down again. And I'm just gonna cut it out and we'll fold it up and we'll glue it down. Okay. I can also save this scrap of paper to use in a journal spread eventually. That's what I'm doing with these 2. Gonna put them in as my like ephemera to use. I'm putting my little notebook against the end, and then I'm gonna draw a line here. You can tell it's pretty bumpy, and then I'm gonna fold it. I'm doing this in a not very professional way, but it doesn't need to be. It's just for me. As long as it works the way it is, I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna fold it back and forth like this. Try to make those ends like line up to the best of my ability. If it does, if it doesn't, I'm not that pressed about it, you know? And then I will do the same this way. I wanna make sure there's enough space over here to account for the thickness of this, which is probably like maybe 1/4 centimeter to be honest. So I'm honestly just gonna eyeball it and put it like here. And I'll draw another line. Yeah, and then I'll do the same thing. I will do a fold. If you had a bone folder or something, that's probably what you would use here. I do not have one. I'm just making sure that we have enough of a score, I guess, so that it folds this way. Perfect. And this side is definitely too big, but I'll trim that down. So basically the idea is that we have a cover that goes this way and then folds over like this. I'm just gonna draw another line and then cut this off too. But yeah, so then generally speaking, this is what the notebook is gonna look like. Pretty cool. And then all I'm gonna do is take the very last page. I'm just using straight up Elmer's school glue. And I am going to put glue all over this back cover and spread it around. I'm honestly just gonna take a piece of scraps like this and just use it and move it around. And then I'm going to put the back of the notebook directly against my line that I had folded and the very edge of the cover. And then I'm gonna do the same for the very first page and glue it to the front cover. And then just all over this front page. And then we'll spread it around. Again, I really wanna make sure I get those edges because that's be the first place that I'll start like peeling. And I'm basically just gonna close the book and try to get all my like, again, edges aligned and stuff. There's still some overhang here on this side, but I'll just trim it and give this a little tap on the spine, try to make it nice and neat. And then also I will take some clips. These are actually ones I use for sewing, but I'll just clip it together And then we can trim up the cover, any places that we missed, and round out those edges in a little bit. This being the third notebook I made, definitely looks a lot nicer. You can tell on these ones, I cut my cover actually a little too short on this one, which is my first one, and then this one was my second one. So these will be the 4 notebooks we put into our traveler's journal. So she'll be a little big, but that's okay. I've definitely been feeling very overwhelmed with how much I've been doom scrolling. You know, I feel like I've been addicted to my phone. I've been brain rotting away. And I really want to have something that I can do to get my mind away from that stuff in a way that I can, A, calm myself down mentally from like just, you know, the stressors of like work and life, but also take the time to like memorialize, I guess, some of the moments that I've had, the memories I've had. Like, I have stuff that I've kept that I plan to put in my scrapbook or whatever, but I just haven't done it yet. I hope that having this journal will help me do those things little by little to kind of knock out a whole bunch of things that I want to do to like introduce this new habit. Obviously, it's stay organized. It is journal more in general. It's like get off my phone more, and it's like use the stuff that I own. So all the stickers that I've collected, all the little like, you know, pieces of trash or like, you know, little mementos that I have from different travels and events and stuff, like let's do something with it. I do have a bit of like a moving plan. So I would like to be able to take this stuff with me and utilize it there. That's why I think that having like small journals is probably a better decision to have right now too, especially as I like test the waters of like, hey, is this something I actually want to do? Is this something that I can keep up with? As opposed to like taking every single one of my journals with me and not having it like be filled out, letting my stuff just sit there and, you know, collect dust. I have the big piece of leather in front of me now. I'm gonna eyeball a decent size to cut out of this big piece of fabric, and then I will, you know, take off more as I need. I'm gonna take my ruler. So I can also measure it this way. Like these are about 5.5 inches, almost like 6 inches wide. Yeah. I feel like 6 would actually be a good length for each time. So let's call it 18 or so. And conveniently, I'm using an 18-inch ruler. Having it like 3 widths across is more than I need. I believe the length of each of these books is probably a little more than 8. Yeah, so I think probably like 8.5 to almost 9 is good. I'm gonna call it 8.5. So we'll do 18 by 8.5. Again, this is all very much just me kind of coming up with these measurements off the cuff. Take my measurements with a grain of salt is all I'm saying. And maybe I'll go 9 just to be safe, and then I will trim as needed. Between my regular computer stuff here, plus all the stuff I'm using for this project, etc., there's not a lot of like space. Yeah, this is like the selvage end. So thankfully, this type of fabric is not, it'll probably fray a little bit, but even with its raw edges, it's not going to like completely fall apart. I'm also just gonna shave off this end over here. So generally speaking, it'll look something like this. We have our notebooks here, and then we'll have one flap and then another. And then we'll have a closure here with a couple of elastics here to house our journals. And so because this is pretty flexible, when our journals get like thicker, it'll, instead of closing this much, it might close like this much or something. But generally speaking, that's the idea. So this fabric is definitely thinner than what a leather would be, but I want to actually reinforce it with a little bit of cardstock. I'm going to use a poster board to do that. But first things first, I just want to double check my measurements. It's not lined up exactly when I fold it in half, so I think I'm just going to trim some of the sides. So here I have the poster board. I measured it out to be the same width, but I did have some extra so I can make a folder. Basically, I just folded it against it and cut the corners off. I'm going to glue it here so it stays put and you can slot things in here. And I'm also going to make a cut here so you can even put some extra stuff. The fact that there's a little bit of extra hang on the ends, that was not intentional, but I mean, I'm not worried about it, but somewhere along the lines, I messed up on my measuring. Whatever. Gonna take our napkin, take out the excess. Now I have my 2 folders ready here. I'm basically just going to glue this poster board to my fabric, and then we'll start punching holes and stuff in it. I'm pretty sure some hot glue would be the fastest way to do this, but I'm too lazy to set up the hot glue gun. So we're gonna go school glue and see how that holds up, and if it doesn't, we will deal with it later. I have that extra like border on the top and bottom, so I'm trying to be slightly mindful of it. If these were the exact same size, I probably wouldn't care very much, but they're not. There we go. All right, I'll be honest, it's not exactly even, but that's okay. We will live. Again, our ecosystem will look something like this. I didn't make a hard fold or anything, but kind of just encouraging the poster board and the fabric to like go this direction. My journal. It's not even done yet, but I'm already excited. So I made some lines where that like spine, I guess, would be, and I'm going to mark places to punch holes. I do have a regular hole puncher here, so I'm gonna see if that works. This is where you would use a leather hole punch or to add grommets. But look at that, my little hole punch that I have worked just fine for the fabric and the paper. I do not have any grommets to add to these, but I'm just gonna string through and hope that, you know, it lasts. Because my measurements are not great, it's kind of uneven as to where it goes, so this top part will actually only go through the fabric. Ooh, definitely needs a little bit of elbow grease though, but I got it. I'm also gonna punch a hole in kind of that like back area so I can string another elastic through to close the entire thing. I won't be able to get through with my hole punch, so I'm actually just gonna slice a little hole into it with my knife. This is where the fun part comes in, kind of that customization. What colors do I think will look good, but also what colors do I want? I like that these are all earthy toned, because I think that'll go well with the brown here. So I actually needed another set of holes on each side, so there should be 6 on the top and bottom, and now I can string. So we're gonna go from the inside out and then back in, from the inside out and then from the outside in. And then we're just gonna tie it off. I'm gonna cut and burn the ends in a bit, but just so we can see what it looks like, it'll be something like this. That's how we get them in. Like that. Now that I have my 3 strings here ready to house all my notebooks, I wanted to do the outer elastic. I have already put an elastic through my hole here. The way I kind of eyeballed how much I would need, I pulled a little tail through, I put my journals here, closed it, and then with the extra, I basically just wrapped it around. And then I figured, and the way it'll go is that I'll put this end through the hole here, into the back, and then just tie it off. So it's a little tougher to get this string through these holes because I didn't do it with a hole punch. So I really am just trying to push and feed the string through. This is where a lot of people put a charm at the end here. I don't really have anything ready to go, and I kind of don't know if I care that much, so we're just gonna not. Literally gonna not. So for the time being, my traveler's notebook is done. I think eventually I will add a little charm here or something just because that'll be cute. I think eventually maybe I'll want to add some type of pen holder or something. I don't know. But generally, this is what it looks like. My room is a mess, so I have not found all my like supplies and stuff, my stickers and stuff that I want to use. I have a lot of spring cleaning to do, to be honest. But I want to show you what it looks like when I open it and flip through. So here it is closed. Then I'll open it, and I have my little folder on each side, and then it opens up to, again, my overall weekly planner, my work notebook, and then I have my scratch paper and kind of my like catch-all whatever notebook, and then I have my little plastic folder. I put some stickers that I've just hoarded for a while onto, like these, which are so cute. They're from Megu Diary. So beautiful. I have several of them. I saw them at like an art market when I was in Korea in 2022. And obviously I've not used them, so I really need to use them for something fun. But yeah, and then this will be my like actual scrapbook journaling area. But yeah, so this is my traveler's notebook. This is my journal ecosystem that I want to adopt for the second half of this year. I think what it's really missing is a little journal spread. So it's been about a week or so since I've started my new journaling system. So I want to show you what my first journal looks like now, and we can finally start an actual first page in here. So I pulled out my actual journal that I want to start. I want to do a spread today. This is my first spread in here. But my ecosystem, obviously, I don't have eyelets on the top and bottom here. I think doesn't seem to be a big issue. I think right here what the issue is the holes up here don't have they're not kind of reinforced with the cardstock or the poster board rather. So it kind of gets a little warped. But the bottom section where it does have the poster board as a reinforcement, it's very it's held its shape really well compared to up here. Obviously you can see that the elastic is pulling. So I added my stickers so that I have so far to my weekly planner, my life weekly planner. So this is what my first week looks like, having been filled out with kind of my silly scribbles and stuff. Again, not perfect, not beautiful, but that's okay. I think that's what every week is for. We can try something new, a different type of layout. Maybe I'll put a habit tracker or something here. I think it's a good opportunity for me to try different layouts or spreads every week to see what I think works, what things I actually do want to keep track of, if I want to just journal freely there, and also can use some of the stuff that I just, have lying around. So this is the notebook I use to plan stuff for work, typically. So I just want to use it all up, and then I will replace it with the one I actually DIY'd. I used this one a little bit this week, just trying to kind of plan some day blocking of what my days might look like in the near future. So in the journal, in the actual junk journal, bullet journal, scrapbook, whatever the heck you want to call it. In this one, I kind of just want to make a spread about this process, kind of how I'm excited for this. I think this little journal will be a good way for me to, express myself, but also try to stay as in real time as I can, because after the moments have passed, sometimes I forget the big beats or what I was feeling and stuff. So I hope that I'm able to keep up a little bit. Maybe just take in a couple hours when I can, maybe every 2 weeks or something, to make a little spread or to just start piecing things together. This is all experimental for me to see what works for me in practicality as well as mentally, emotionally, etc. So I don't know. I used the next hour or so to work on my first journal spread. I pulled out some of the materials I had and really just started writing. In some ways, I definitely feel I didn't plan it or make it as pretty as I've seen other people on social media do theirs, but I think that comes with time, and also, this is my first one. I got to give myself some grace. But I'm excited to see how I end up using this journal. Thank you so much for watching as I spent this week making my own traveler's notebook and working on my journaling ecosystem. If you'd like to follow along, I'll be posting more journaling updates via short form and the occasional Twitch stream. Otherwise, I'll catch you here in the next one. Bye!